Those of you who watch my channel, the whole 278 of you, I want you to know that one of the issues that I often talk about is about child protection, and I get a wee bit, I don't know whether upset's the right word, but disappointed, I guess, that the issues around how we look after and how we care for children doesn't seem to resonate with people. It's an issue which, for whatever reason, people tend to ignore unless the matter is relating to the death of a child, which seems to make the first page of a newspaper and then diminishes in interest over time. The reality is that many kids are removed on a regular basis. About 47,000 kids at the moment that are in out-of-home care, and there's hundreds of thousands of kids that are investigated each year. One of the groups that particularly is vilified, I think, are Indigenous children and Indigenous families in particular, and that's primarily because of the degree of racism that exists within the services, whether that be Department of Human Services, Child Protection Services, or whether it be ancillary organisations that manage the welfare of children. But the fact that it is endemic is in itself an issue which very rarely, in fact, gets addressed. Now, the reason why I'm making this post today is that there was the Victorian Police Commissioner gave an apology for the stolen generation, and I just want to play a little bit of that clip, just the opening minute, but also want to highlight the issue that this is not just about, it's important firstly to acknowledge the stolen generation, so I'm not minimising that in what I'm about to say either. I am trying to draw the attention to the total dysfunction of the child protection system in Australia in relation to the removal of children, period. The history that sits around the stolen generation is a dark history for Australia, and is certainly one that we need to address. And I was delighted, in fact, to see that the Police Commissioner in Victoria has chosen to do just that. But I do want to highlight that the Police Commissioner and the police, or the police in particular, are just one arm of the army of people who perform child protection agency legislation, who are assigned to looking after children, and all of them fail. Every single one of them fails. And that this is just one group of people that are, or one organisation that's apologising. I celebrate them for that, well done. But the apology is simply something that's acknowledging historically what has happened. It's not endeavouring to fix the continual problem that sits around child protection. The problem happens every day. It is happening today. Somewhere at this particular moment in time, a child or a number of children are being removed by a department. And the reasons why they're being removed are sometimes valid, and I'm not disputing that some children need to be removed from parents, but there are many children who do not. And there are many families with a bit of work with that family will be able to continue appropriate support for the child. But that doesn't seem to be the issue. So we have these apologies. We had the Rudd apology some years back, 2015 I think, which was a federal apology which was well received and very emotional for a lot of the Indigenous people, of course. But we need to also focus on a system that fails children all the time, every day. It fails children. And that system needs to be overhauled, abandoned, scrapped, and it needs to start again. And so that's my mantra, I guess, and I've been talking about this for decades now. So I'll just play a bit of this clip, and then I'll talk about it when after about a minute. I'm not going to play all of it. It's about 9 minutes. I will put the link for it on YouTube down below in the comment section so that you can have a look at it later on if you're so interested.
It's vital for Victoria Police to face up to and accept responsibility for the widespread harm caused to Aboriginal people by the role police played in forcibly removing children from their families and the deep impact this had on severing their connection to family, community, country, language, culture, and identity. I am deeply sorry for the harm which this has caused and the harm which continues to be felt now.
And point I want to make about that as it's appropriate that a department does this, but I don't know why we're not hearing from the Department of Human Services. I don't know why we're not hearing from Child Protection Services themselves, because they're the ones that should be apologising. And it's okay for politicians to apologise, as was the case with Kevin Rudd. But it's the states that make the legislation around child protection. It's the state legislators who should be apologising for what they have implemented in relation to the child protection system. It's magistrates who enforce that legislation who should be apologising also to children. It's the solicitors who work for the Department of Child Protection who should be apologising for the way they go about prosecuting parents in a court whereby the parents haven't been criminally charged but are treated as if they are the criminals. The system is so tainted and so prejudicial, not just racially prejudiced, but also prejudice in terms of the way they look to families, particularly low-income families, and particularly, I guess, the way that they refer to parents who are in a violent relationship. Also, parents who've got a drug problem. I've not worked with many parents who've got a marijuana problem, and it's, in my view, not a big deal whatsoever, but the children are removed simply because they smoke marijuana. So, and I could talk for hours about the complexities of this terrible, terrible issue. And I also could talk about working with parents and the distress that appears over their faces and their bodies once they've been told that the children are not going to be returned to them. So there's the removal of the children in one instance. There's also the process that takes place, which is supposed to be an investigation where the conclusion is that the child cannot be returned to them and they lose that child for the rest of that child's life. And also, there's no way by which they can rectify that. That there are very few kids, in fact, who are returned once the court has made a decision to remove the child permanently. So the system is stuffed. It does not work in the favour of children at all. All children are generally traumatised by being removed, and the system itself needs a drastic change. I am a voice for that change, and have been for many years, and I do wonder the effectiveness of my voice because nothing seems to have changed. But I'm out there pushing for it nevertheless. Even in retirement, one can do what one can in order to create a voice for children. So subscribe to my channel. There'll be more of these videos over time, I'm quite sure, in relation to child protection. I am aware that I don't get all that many people subscribing as a result of these posts, but that isn't why I'm here anyway. I'm here because I think that this is an opportunity to have a voice for issues that matter to me, and hopefully issues that also matter for you. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. In the meantime, take care. look after yourselves and make sure that you and the loved ones in your life are safe.